What's up, lore masters? Before I get into this breakdown, let's address some criticisms. It is not rare that people fundamentally misunderstand what I'm trying to do and how I analyze works. Those who don't understand this channel will often think that I hate something if I'm critical of it, even highly critical of it. That opinion is generally not true. I honestly haven't hated any scene that we've observed up to this point. Not really hate. Even the Borg Queen interactions I just find useless and distracting, but I've never really hated them. But I, honest to God, do truly loathe the next scene I'm about to analyze. However, since I want to make sure that I go over the entirety of the movie, and because it'll play a part in the future, I'm going to be breaking it down. I just wanted to be upfront with my opinion on it though. In the next scene, we have the Seduction of Data, and it's just stupid. Some have tried to defend it as a breakdown of sex on an android that has never experienced it. Lust used against him. We see Data attempting to cope and he's just not able to. They say it fits really well within the movie because it's an attempt to break the encryption. My counter is that when I watched The Best of Both Worlds and the first part of Emissary, I didn't want an inclusion of 50 Shades of Grey, except somehow written worse, within those stories. You could find other ways for the Queen to try to break the encryption and utilize Data's emotions against him. The tone of this interaction is inconsistent with the rest of the movie, and it's just not an appropriate arc for the tell that they are telling. While I'll be the first to say the enjoyment of something, especially art, is largely subjective, there are objective metrics that you can base on a movie to see if it's good or bad. And that may not be into relation on whether you like it or not. It just shows that it doesn't fit. And if it doesn't fit, that means most people probably won't like it. Let's break it down.
Tell me, are you using a polymer-based neural relay to transmit the organic nerve impulses to the central processor of my positronic net? If that is the case, how have you solved the problem of increased signal degradation inherent to organosynthetic transmission?
Do you always talk this much?
Something that is done well is the framing device that they use. For whatever reason, we as humans enjoy symmetry and framing. It's actually done a lot in movies. In fact, if you watch most anything, you'll notice that characters are often put between door frames or in between objects that match on either side. Trust me, you're not going to be able to unsee it in the future once you realize it's happening. While I don't like the scene overall, I do think the introduction of the Queen was pretty creative. It's a good way for her to enter into this area.
Not always, but often.
Why do you insist on utilizing this primitive linguistic communication? Your android brain is capable of so much more.
How is he supposed to talk if you haven't provided another method? Also,
the android, Data, primitive artificial organism. You will be obsolete in the new order.
Have you forgotten? I'm endeavoring to become more human.
Human. We used to be exactly like them. Flawed, weak, organic. But we evolved to include the synthetic. Now we use both to attain perfection.
I don't necessarily agree with the way that she has phrased it here, but overall, at least she's now admitting that, yeah, they take the organic and combine it with the cybernetic to become more than the sum of their parts, even if it contradicts things that she's previously said in the movie.
Your goal should be the same as ours.
Believing oneself to be perfect is often the sign of a delusional mind.
Maybe it's just me, but I honestly do not like the shift for Data. I like most of Brent Spiner's work, but him trying to go from no emotion to emotion, it just doesn't work in the scene. It doesn't feel natural.
Small words. From a small being trying to attack what he doesn't understand.
I understand that you have no real interest in me. That your goal is to obtain the encryption codes for the Enterprise computer.
That is one of our goals.
Nice voice dub. Wait, was I the one that edited this movie?
One of many. But in order to reach it, I'm willing to help you reach yours.
I could sit here and get mad at how stupid it is to not have him held down, but I'm pretty sure the Queen did this by design.
Flawless victory.
So overall, the fight choreography and camera work is done well. It adds a brief shot of adrenaline, even though it doesn't really make any sense, and again, shifts the tone pretty awkwardly. Once freed, we can clearly see that Data has a straight shot to the tubing that'll win the day. So why doesn't he go for it? If he was a human or another species, we could excuse it as heat of the moment type thing, but there's no way that Data would miss this. Maybe his emotions cloud his judgment, but we know there is a ludicrous small amount of time that he actually considers what the Queen is saying. I feel like his positronic brain would override the emotions. Him grabbing his flesh is somewhat equally dumb, but it could have also caused pain, and thus he was reacting the way anyone would react if we got hurt. No, she's totally a part of the collective, guys. She's not a separate entity.
Is it becoming clear to you yet? Look at yourself, standing there cradling the new flesh that I've given you. If it means nothing to you, why protect it?
I am simply imitating the behavior of humans.
You're becoming more human all the time, Data. Now you're learning how to lie.
Ah, if you enjoy this attempt to turn Data using emotions against him, then I suppose this is good for you. The dialogue is fine, and it's competently done from a cinematographer's point of view, but it's just, ugh.
My programming was not designed to process these sensations.
And tear the skin from your limb as you would a defective circuit. Go ahead, Data. We won't stop you. Do it. Don't be tempted by flesh.
Again, that's probably skin from his dead buddies. Just gonna keep pushing that point.
Are you familiar with physical forms of pleasure?
If you are referring to sexuality, I am fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques.
How long has it been since you've used them?
8 years, 7 months, 16 days, 4 minutes, 22.
Far too long.
Man, when I think about the Borg, their devastation that they brought on the Federation, when I rewatch Best of Both Worlds and see the Enterprise drifting through the graveyard of dozens of Starfleet ships, I also now have to think about the Queen who is on her knees looking up at Data, because she doesn't really have any other actual parts to have sex with beyond the mouth. Which, if she does, then think of this. The rest of her body was most likely either upgraded or created specifically for her, and if they had to add parts to make her fully functional, they would have had to take it from the crew. That means he's having sex with parts that came from the crew.
And then it hit me. If I f***ed him, I would always have the satisfaction of knowing that he would be thinking of me. Promise, it could just be our little secret. Okay, baby.